intro.
It's another band. All the Muslim cars now, whichever get up. Light up my card with a sweet one, please. Someone flips me a bag, baggy. So, it's another one. It's another one, yeah. It's a full strand, yeah. Oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah.
Yo, hey, yeah, welcome. Sorry, I got caught off guard then. Welcome to episode 7, back with me and CJ. It's gonna be the last crescendo. I can't even say that word, to be honest with you. Can you say it? I struggle, but
yeah, welcome. Really exciting day for the event for everybody. I know I'm not on Twitter, but I know Twitter has gone absolutely mental today. The last 2 days of everything that's been going on. So many changes, so many ups and downs, so many rumours. And this is part of boxing, isn't it?
Yeah, and just before we start, we'll do the promo for the 40% off. Yep. You know what? I was doing so well, and I forgot the name. I forgot the period to say D-Rock Covid.
Don't worry, let it go.
Nah, never mind. Anyway, yeah. This card on the weekend, it's in 3 days. It's changed so much. It went from being everybody excited, everything that's about to happen. All the fighters are over there. We're about to get, the last press conference, the weigh-in, and then the first pullout. Obviously, it's got Floyd Schofield Jr. Pulling out through illness. We'll speak about why and the reasons why he pulled out. But firstly, we'll go to his replacement, because I think you're the best person right now to speak about his replacement, being friends with him. Obviously, being part of that gym, so I'll let you take it away.
Yeah, Josh Padley. Josh Padley, guys, 15-0 fighter from Doncaster. Lucky enough to be alongside him. I get to see him train quite often. I get to talk to him a lot. He's a really nice guy. He's a really down-to-earth guy. He's a proper Yorkshire bloke, which Rico will hate me saying. But yeah, he got the call like 6 p.m. on Tuesday night, in talks to having this absolutely massive gift just put in front of him. I can say is before all this, he was looking, the phone wasn't ringing. Obviously, he had a massive performance against Mark Chamberlain. I think everyone's got to agree with that. I don't think many people at all gave him a chance in that fight.
Well,
he was in talks.
Mark Chamberlain was obviously Turkey's guy. He was the Turkey's favourite fighter. I think he said that's the reason why he was on that card. And fair play to Josh for getting in there and upsetting the apple cart, because, like you said, the phone's not been ringing since he's done that. And I said to you privately, like, it's upsetting when an underdog does something like that, someone who's not supposed to win, and then the phone stops ringing because they're a high risk, low reward.
That's exactly on the money there, mate. High risk, low reward. People have seen him do what no one expected him to do against Mark Chamberlain, who was tipped to go on to do big things again by Turkey Al-Sheh.
He still is, bearing in mind, they haven't thrown him away. He still is.
Massive, isn't it?
But that's the other side of the coin, really, because you've got Mark Chamberlain who lost, who's got that backing, will rebound. They will put him in fights where his career will move on. But the likes of Josh doing that, before this happening, obviously, this is a blessing in disguise, obviously. But before this happening, no one's calling, no one wants to give him another shot. And I don't like that Eddie's gone away from that, because I remember in lockdown, when he was doing the shows in his garden and stuff, the fighters who was the underdogs, who did win those fights, always got another couple of fights with him. He always put them back on shows, always basically gave him a 2-fight contract after that. Winner stays on. And I don't know whether they're going away from that. I hope they're not going away from that, because Saudi don't seem to care too much about losses. But also, Josh didn't lose. He won, and he's not getting the call. You know what I mean? The Shakur Stevenson fight, obviously, it's an uphill battle. It's an uphill battle, but he's there and in shape to take it. So that's fair play to him for being a professional.
I mean, listen, up until 6 p.m. Tuesday night, he was looking at possibility of fighting Maxi Hughes or even Dalton Smith, which are massive fights in their own right. And again, this really was just out of the blue. He's taking it with both hands. He's got a brilliant team around him. He's got Jason Cunningham around, Thomas Stalker's there. Obviously, Steffi in the background with that. He's got a really good team around him with a lot of experience, a lot of know-how. And he's come out really well, mate. He really has done. This is win-win for him, regardless of what goes on.
100%. 100%. Like, taking this fight, no matter what happens in the fight, the Dalton Smith fights, the Maxi Hughes fights are always there anyway, because you've got that Yorkshire rivalry. You've got that. You will always have that backing. Rico won't like me saying that, but but like I said, he's got those fights there. He's got everything to win in this fight. Put up a performance in this fight. You know what I mean? Everyone says Shakur can't punch or whatever. We'll see, because he is going up against the best 135 fighter there is out there, to be honest with you.
Absolutely. It's on paper, it's stacked against him. But then you have got to think, how many times have we had this situation? Probably the most famous one that sticks to me head is AJ getting the Andrew Ruiz fight.
Yep.
People are questioning. There'll be a lot of people who won't have a clue who Josh Padley is.
No, there isn't. There isn't, because, like I say on Twitter, you've got the Americans, and I listen to podcasts and shows and stuff like that. And the Americans, who's Josh Padley, or why they're putting Shakur in there with him. But at the end of the day, Josh has done what he's needed to do so far in his career. He went in there, upset Mark Chamberlain, made a name for himself. Maybe the phone wasn't ringing straight away, but clearly you made a name for yourself anyway, because you're high risk. No one wants to give you that chance. So now he's got that chance. Obviously, you look at it, the chance he's got. You've got everything to gain. You're on a big platform.
Massive.
Yeah, to be honest, it's the biggest card there is in boxing in how long? Obviously, we know Schofield, but are you saying that Floyd Schofield, who was Floyd Schofield really beat or anything to get the Shakur fight? Because I know people didn't really like that fight either, because they were saying that Schofield is still a prospect. Well, Oscar De La Hoya called him prospect, even though he's an interim champ or whatever he is. I don't know. But Schofield hasn't done anything massively in boxing to even be in the ring with Shakur. So the change of opponent, we don't know. We don't know what the level of Schofield and Padley is.
Got Chris White there. Eddie says, time and time again, be in the gym and be ready. You never know when the phone's going to ring. So hats off to him, staying in shape and being ready for any bout. That's it. Yeah. Our little group chat at St. Peter's or Steffi's gym is have gloves, will travel. And that is the truth. Everyone stays fit as a fiddle. Eddie's even commented on a few times. I know he commented on Bunce's show at radio. He likes to keep everybody within the weight. Do you know what I mean? No far off. And this is twice this has happened just to Josh Padley now. Do you know what I mean? It was this, getting gifted these fights, and you never know. You've got to take it with both hands. You've got to swing for it, and he will put it on Shakur Stevenson. Do we know if he's boxed anyone as pressured. Like Josh is going to go for this. He's going to absolutely go for this. He's got nothing to lose. On his chest. Is Shakur going to be ready for that?
Yeah, I think for Josh, it's perfect anyway, really, because he's going in there. Shakur hasn't had time to watch tape on him. His coaches haven't had time to figure what Josh does, or what Josh does well, what Josh doesn't do well. You know what I mean? Pick up on bad habits. So Shakur hasn't got as much time to study Josh as he'd like. You know what I mean? So for Josh, that's perfect. You've got an opponent in there who doesn't know what you do, who doesn't know how you fight. So you will be able for the early rounds at least. You should be able to do fight your fight until Shakur, obviously, whether he figures you out or not, we don't know. But Josh should be able to fight his fight the early parts of the fight, I believe.
Here's a question for you, Ez. Shakur dominates him, destroys him. Okay, that's what certainly a lot of Americans will have written 100%. Down. Where does he go from there, or does he just carry on like normal, pick up the plate and go back to what he was supposed to be doing? Because he's not going. I don't believe he's going to get a lot of credit if he does beat Padley. I think it's just going to be
I think if Shakur beats Padley, it'll be like I think Eddie said, the Tank fight. They're not going to get the Tank fight. We know that ain't happening because Tank ain't going to fight him. I think it's going to go the same way. I don't think anything changes. I think this fight, the stakes of this fight to the Schofield fight for me is the exact same. It's the exact same voluntary defense at the end of the day, because him beating Schofield, what does that do for his career? Like, it doesn't take him any higher than what he's at, because Schofield in everyone's mind isn't even ready for a championship fight yet. So
I didn't believe he was. I was exactly the same as you. I was sort of wondering how he came to the list for that fight. Do you know what I mean? How he ended up there. I mean, listen.
It's because they called Shakur out. They called Shakur out after the I think obviously the Cordina fight fell through. Then Zepeda got injured, and Shakur was looking for an opponent, and they started running the mouth, talking, saying that they'd take that fight. Oscar De La Hoya was saying no, he's not he didn't want him to take the fight. They went to Turkey. They managed to get the fight, and I don't believe they wanted. I don't think they ever wanted the fight, to be honest with you. Not yet. I think they wanted to use. They didn't think Shakur would say yeah, in my opinion. I think they called him out. Didn't think he'd call the card, and when he did, it was sort of, we've spoke so much, so we've got to take this fight. I don't think Floyd Schofield can make 135. I think he struggles massively. I think that's the main obviously it's a reason they're giving, but if he's fainted and everything, it tells me that he was trying to make this check weight.
Yeah.
And they overdid it, and he's fell ill doing that. I think that's what's happened. I think he's too big for the weight. And I think the whole trolling and everything that was going on, I don't know if you saw any of it, where he was saying his passport got ripped up. They had a mole in the camp that ripped his passport up so they couldn't get to the arrivals. Then it was, I think Shakur and his team had planted drugs and called the police on him. I swear.
It sounded a lot like Sandy Ryan, Michaela Meyer in there.
It's a lot went on. A lot went on, and what they said, and then they end up pulling out. For me, the only thing it looks like is that they were struggling to make weight. They knew that, and they thought they would just troll the way through it, try to stay away from people talking about them missing weight or whatever. And that's why his dad posted something, oh, we're still in the WBA. This was before they pulled out, saying, oh, we're still in the WBA. We don't care about the WBC belt. And I was like, you're like an interim not even like an interim champion or whatever. I think you're just number one in the WBA. And you're saying you don't care about a WBC title, world title, an actual title. It, for me, screams that you was hoping you could get away with coming in overweight.
Yeah.
But they were forced to do this checking weight, which made him ill. Basically, I think that's what's happened. They was hoping to coming over, pay a fine, and the fight maybe still happen. But it just didn't happen, and the Boxing Board of Control said, no, you can't fight.
And that's how it should be, mate. I do genuinely believe that's how it always should be. I think it's the scenarios it counts, maybe. I don't know. I think it's one of the most unprofessional things you can do, certainly at that level, not mate, where you're not telling me nobody knows you're not
time. When you've got time, you've got a training camp, you've got everything. If you can't make that weight and that division, you shouldn't be fighting in that division. And
when you're at the top of the game, like they're at the top of the ladder now, there's no excuse whatsoever, because every single person in his team, in his camp, will be aware of his weight. You know what I mean? It will be checked constantly, daily. So yeah, absolutely, no excuses for that, mate. What I was going to say is we've agreed that we're going to start doing fight predictions, aren't we, and see how we get on the next week.
We are.
We've started with Stevenson and Padley. Do you want to give your prediction?
Yeah, my prediction. I think it's going to be a Shakur UD. I think a Shakur UD. I think early rounds Padley might give him problems because it'll take Shakur time to get used to what Padley fights like. I think once Shakur gets track of his patterns and whatnot, he'll be able to control the fight from there. I don't think he stops him, because I don't think Shakur punches that hard anyway. I think he's going to try and prove a point to stop him, but I don't think he will. I don't think he has that kind of power. But his boxing skills, that he definitely has.
I have gone for. I've gone for a Padley split decision. Again, with you, I think he's going to come out like a bull in a china shop. I predict we're going to see Stevenson on his bum at some point in this fight, whether that's just from rushing, just the pressure coming forward. But yeah, split decision. I've got to back him. I can't not. I'd never live it down.
To be fair, this fight should have been null and void.
One of them we can all agree on is that it's one of them stories that makes you fall back in love with boxing. The fairy tale, the Rocky 100%. Story. His life's changed forever. Regardless of what happens Saturday, his life has changed forever. So hats off to him, and it's a good little story.
Yeah, like Chris said, when you're ready and you're on weight and you're a professional, they're the opportunities that you're waiting for. You're waiting for that call. You're probably working. He's probably working, just thinking, imagine if phone rang right now. Imagine if phone rang. You know what I mean? There's some times where you're just doing your thing and you just picture something happens. And being on weight and being a professional, that happened for him. So I'm absolutely buzzing for him. Obviously, being a local lad as well, it's even better for us up here.
Shall we jump to, because I'm really excited for this one. I'm really excited for the Zhili Zhang versus Ajit Kabayal. I'm really excited for this fight. What's your thoughts?
Yes. Right. I don't know. Well, I don't know your prediction on this, but this is I think Zhang hits hard. He's probably the hardest hitter in the division, in my opinion. But saying that, how I've seen Kabayel break down his last two opponents, the way he broke them down to the body, boxing on his toes, boxing very smart, slipping under punches. I generally think Kabayel stops Zhang late, probably to the body. How I've seen Kabayel box, his boxing skills, he's actually quite an underrated fighter. And I think that's a lot to do with when he fought Derek Chisora years ago, because that was probably like one of the last fights I've seen of him before, obviously, he came back on the scene. I saw that, was that and I was just like, yeah, that was in France, Monaco. In Monaco, yeah. And I remember seeing that, and Chisora lost, and I was like, Chisora, what are you doing? Like, this guy's awful. This fight was yours to win, and you just didn't do anything. But since he's come back, I think he's a very good boxer. I think he's smart. I think his body punching is very good. And with Zhang's gas tank, I think the body is a perfect game plan for Cabell in this fight. You can get hold of that body early. That means his gas tank is going to go anyway, but it's going to go sooner than he'd like. And yeah, I think Joseph Parker showed us how you can box, and I think Cabell can box quite well as well. I think he probably does stop Zhang, because I just don't think Zhang has a gas tank after six. After six, his legs are heavy. He's very stationary, and Cabell going to the body. I think it's a Cabell win by KO or TKO, whichever one.
I have also gone for Cabell to stop Zhang.
Wow.
I mean, his last.
You know what? I didn't even know that.
not
a lot of people picking it.
It's a great fight. It's a really exciting fight. Listen, I really rate Zhang. It was not long since, was it who did he box? He stunk the place out anyway, and people were saying, "Oh, that's not
him and Hergovich. Him and Hergovich. Was it him and Hergovich? But he won that Hergovich fight.
He where did he boxed?
I think
was it the Jerry Forrest?
Jerry Forrest, that was, I think, was that before or after the? I can't remember if it was after. I think it was before the. Yeah. And then before, yeah, he got a draw, I think.
Shocking. I think shocked the world, wiping Joyce out, and then obviously the second time, again just on the line out, wiping him out. Parker, I think this was maybe the last episode we did, or maybe one before. I mean, I thought it was really unlucky. I think he had Parker down like 3 times.
Yeah. Well, like I said, I watched that fight. I was out while I was watching that fight, so it was sort of hard to score. But looking at the aesthetic of the fight, it looks like Parker was in control, but kept getting caught by Zhang. And Zhang putting him down, I thought, you know what, Zhang will get it. I generally thought Zhang would get it. But he didn't. But then again, Parker, how he's boxed since, you can't fault him. So yeah, well, we're still on Zhang Cabell. Sorry, yeah.
We can move to Parker, mate, if you want. I mean, that's where all the excitement's being passed. 12 hours, even if we thought
Padley was the only shock of the card. We thought, wow, 3 days to go, we was almost there, and then
I'm sure anyone who's listening, if they don't know, here it is, that Daniel Dubois got checked by doctors to be, I don't know what it is, I don't know if you know that, Eric, to be deemed unwell, unfit.
Yeah, just it's an illness, they said.
Yeah, illness. So instantly, boom, that explodes, phones are ringing, emails are going, social media's going wild, Twitter, whatever that is, going absolutely mental. And I was surprised, and now this might sound daft, because I rung my mate and he said, why do you think that? I was surprised how many people threw their name into the ring to box, to jump on this. I really did think no one's going to be interested on this short notice. Yeah, I did genuinely, and because I don't know, I don't. Obviously, the money's going to be there. I know there's your naming lights, but I just think
I think if it was Parker who pulled out, I'd probably agree with you. But I don't know. Parker, for me, he's not. I don't know. I think a lot of heavyweights look at Parker as if, like, yeah, I could beat him.
Yeah.
A lot of them, I feel like a lot of them look at him like, yeah, I could beat Parker. Yeah, I could beat him, because they don't. When you're looking at a heavyweight, is the punch. What you're really worried about is getting knocked out at that weight class. And Parker hasn't really ever shown that to be his skill. You know you're going to get a hard fight boxing Parker, but you're not in fear of getting absolutely slept. So I feel like a lot of the heavyweights probably look at Parker and think, I reckon in a box I could beat Parker. I could probably catch him. So
what if I rephrase it to your top 5? I bet a lot wasn't going to or wasn't interested. Does that sound better? I think you the Bacoli, obviously, I mean, he's been screaming and screaming and screaming for a fight.
Bacoli was always going to put, Billy Nelson was always going to put his name there. He was always going to put his name there. I thought it was going to be the usual Billy Nelson tweets, Martin Bacoli's ready, and then nothing comes of it. But this time, he tweeted and they got it. So...
Do you know who the other names were? Because the only one I heard was FINALISTS, which I'm a big fan.
No, I did hear Okoli or David Adderley. They're the only two names I heard. And the Okoli one, I didn't mind. The Okoli one, I was like, you know what? Okoli, that's the sort of fighters you should be fighting anyway. If you're moving up to heavyweight, a former world champion at cruiserweight and bridgerweight. Yeah. Parker's the sort of fighters you should be fighting anyway. So I'm not even mad at them. At a Coley one, Adelaide one. No, I wasn't interested in that. No, I wasn't interested in that. But yeah, Bacoli, they answered the call.
Bacoli is trouble for any heavyweight, and that might sound silly, as obviously every heavyweight can punch, but we're talking like an absolute monster of a man. I think he's coming to his own a lot more sort of this side of his career. He's obviously come off that massive win against Jared Anderson, where a lot of certainly Americans didn't give him much of a chance. Destroyed Takam as well before that. I do think Bacoli is going to knock out Joseph Parker.
I've got Parker on points.
Have you?
I've got Parker on points. I still haven't seen enough from Bacoli. That Jared Anderson, for me anyway, I didn't rate it. Americans can scream to the rooftop about Jared Anderson all they wanted. This guy was 23 crying that he wanted to be out of boxing. And I didn't believe this guy wanted to box. So, and he did the same thing he was doing for the rest of his fights, pulling back, straight back every single time. He did it against Charles Martin. He nearly lost to Charles Martin. Like from then, I never really had any high thing of him. So,
Flooring, that's Mikey's company there, mate. I'll just sneak that in. Shout out to MLS Flooring, mate. Wow.
Yeah, as Chris said, apparently he swerved Ruiz. Well, Bacoli did.
Bacoli. I think I'll wait till Chris's comment comes back up and jump back on that. Now this might sound sort of cliche, puncher versus mover, but Joseph Parker has got to be so tucked up for these first 4 rounds. You are 100% right. If this goes over the halfway mark, I mean, I dread to imagine what Bacoli's weighing, because I'm sure his last fight was something like 2 stones. You know what I mean? Like a monster of a man. Anything over the halfway line, he's not going to make it. He's not going to sit through because Parker's fit. Parker can move. Parker can punch. You know, like he's not a mug. But then first 4 rounds, these shots coming over like that is going to be absolute fireworks. I'm telling you now. Parker will be down. Parker will be down in this fight.
Parker, for me, if he's learned from the Joe Joyce fight, he wins this fight on points. Everyone, like Mikey said, Bacoli's a monster, and this is what I'm hearing. I'm waiting for him to prove it. To be honest with you, let's see if he can prove it to me. I don't mind being wrong. I never mind being wrong on my boxing picks, especially if it's somebody I didn't think could do it. I don't mind being wrong on them. It's good for boxing, but he needs to show me. I haven't seen enough yet. I genuinely haven't seen enough yet at this level. I've not seen enough yet, so I've got Parker on points.
It's the perfect. I think it's a great standing. Like, it's made me so excited for it. Honestly, I don't think there's anyone else I'd have been more excited for. I really don't.
You know what it was when we heard about Dubois dropping out, and he was like, "Oh, come on." After the Shakur thing, and obviously no disrespect to Josh, he's not a big name, so everyone's like, "Oh well." Austin's, but I thought Austin wasn't really that big of a name anyway. Like, he was, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, he's a bigger name than Josh because he's in America and he's been promoted by Oscar De La Hoya. But you don't know what the difference, what the level is at. You know what I mean? So when Daniel pulled out, it was like, oh, who are we going to get now? And then when you got the likes of David Adelaide putting in there, you're like, oh, this card, man, this card was so good, and now we just come on. And then for the Bacoli to break, I think people are a little bit more hyped for it. You know what I mean? I think Daniel, they put in Bacoli, and everyone sort of forgot that Daniel's ill. Everyone's sort of like, yeah, Daniel is Bacoli. It's like, you know what? I like this fight. I really do like this fight, and for me, it's a perfect fight because Bacoli can prove me wrong. Beat Parker. That's a very, very good win.
I think it's huge for Bacoli to beat Parker. It finally, like you said, puts his name up there where Bacoli and Martin, Billy Nelson have always said he is. Now, for me, I think if Parker dismantles another big boy, as in a big heavyweight, Joseph Parker's not a big heavyweight, mate.
Nope.
That also puts Parker in the clear, I think. You know what I mean? And if he stopped Bacoli, can you even imagine that? Can you imagine if Joseph Parker stops Bacoli later on?
I'm telling you, Parker's resume he's for everybody. You know what? I was so upset with Parker earlier on. Just the way he aligned himself with Fury and this brotherhood of Fury and stuff. And I was just like, bro, get your own thing. You know what I mean? Like I said, Bacoli versus Parker is actually better than Dubois versus Parker. I don't disagree with that. I generally don't disagree with that because I think Dubois should be fighting AJ next anyway. I didn't really care for this fight that much. It was a world title fight, two good fighters fighting each other. I liked it, but Parker Bacoli makes more sense to me. It generally just makes more sense because where they're at. Like the belt Daniel has doesn't hold much weight at this moment in time. We know Usyk is the guy. Daniel, the AJ win, brilliant, absolutely fantastic. But still, it's like Parker beats you, he's a world champion, and it's like you could still go on Parker Bacoli for a world title, and it would still be a big fight. So I think you're right on that one. I agree anyway. That Bacoli Parker's a better fight.
Big Martin Bacoli, and I'm so excited for him. Do you want to choose another one, pal? Which one do you want to go for?
Who we got next? Let's have a look. Buatsi versus no, we'll save that one. We'll go Carlos Adames versus Shiraz, yeah.
Hamza Shiraz is going to take the world by storm. This is for the, if I'm right, mate, the WBC middleweight
title, yeah.
Hamza Shiraz just been destroying everyone that's been put in front of him. There's not much more. He's beating everyone that's been put in front of him. He's stepping up every time. Here we go. This is his time to shine. This is what he's wanted. This is what all his team. What a lot of noise has been made about him. Here we go, mate. Do you think Frank could have slung Moses in? Sounds daft, but if he's thinking of pushing him to a title break, Tyson's record could have been a great opportunity. What do you think?
I saw a lot of people put that on Twitter. They were shouting Moses, and surprisingly, I'm surprised they didn't put the name in there. To be honest with you, Chris,
really?
I'm surprised they didn't put the name in there just because, like Ted said, it's how they're promoting him. They're promoting him to that world title to break Tyson's record and whatnot. So I'm surprised they didn't put his name in there. I'm glad they didn't put his name in there because we spoke about it, what we think that he should do. Clear up the British level, go through the levels, learn your craft, because when you get to that top level, you stay at that top level. And when you get there, you want to be in the peak of your career and the peak of your powers where you can stay there and reign for a long time. You don't want to get up there, win a belt, then lose, have to reset, try again, especially with how it's going. You can earn the money by running the British level. You can earn the money. Turkey's behind you, bro. You was at the Ring Magazine Awards at 19 years old speaking. So they're behind you. You've got time. So I'm glad that they didn't put his name out there. I am happy they didn't. I think the Bacoli fight is a perfect replacement. I think Bacoli's got enough cachet with the Americans as well after beating Jared Anderson for them to be excited about the fight, because that's what you've got to do. You've got to think about as well, because the Padley replacement was really for us. Americans couldn't care less. That's just, you know what I mean, for British people. The Bacoli one, yeah, he's more British based, but the Americans are lording over him after beating Jared Anderson. You know what I mean? He's got a fan base in America. People will be surprised, but a lot of the Americans rate him at this moment in time.
If moving forward with him, if you're asking me for Atoma, if they're wanting him to be where what everyone's saying for Chris and Few, I would say get your name straight down for the loser of this fight. Bacoli and Parker, I mean, get your name straight in there to go for that, and then you will know where you are.
I can see him doing it. I can definitely see him doing that. Yeah, I can see him doing that, because that doesn't directly put him into a world title or at that top level. It puts you in and around that level, most definitely, but that doesn't mean you've got to be still got to fight them guys up there. You've still got time, and them guys are getting old anyway. The new guys that's coming up. That's what he needs to be looking at, because they're the guys that he'll need to be fighting as well. Yeah, Carlos Adames versus Hamza. I think Hamza stops him.
Okay.
I think Adames will struggle to get it inside that range, which he will have to. He has to get inside that range, because if you don't, you're going to get picked off. And with the high guard, what Hamza has, he can bait Adames in so much, and Adames will probably get caught with an uppercut coming in, because he'll have to bring the fight. And if he doesn't bring the fight to Hamza, he'll probably finish earlier, because Hamza on the front foot, that's not what you want.
No, not at all. I agree with you on that one. I've got my prediction down as Shiraz to win. I think this is his time that he does. For those who don't know him, he does open himself up to the world. My only thing is not as experienced. Not that Adames has boxed out the world's best, but I think, I mean, you're looking back at like Tyler Denny and people like that he's boxed. That doesn't throw you to world level.
The Ammo win for me was the statement win. The Ammo win was the statement win. He went through the fire as well in that fight. It wasn't just he battered Ammo and that was it. He actually weathered some of the storm, because Ammo's performance in that fight was he put up a performance in that fight. Yeah, he lost by stoppage, but it was a performance he could look back on and said, you know what, I tried my best in that moment, and it just wasn't good enough. But Hamza's been through the fire in that fight. I think Carlos Adames, he's fought some better names. He has fought some better names. I agree with that, but I don't know if it's the names that you'd say that matters that much.
No, not the names that he's not. But agreed, Adames is good, just not good enough for a guy like Hamza. Yeah, no, that's that. I think we're all on them terms. It is just. Do we see Hamza coming with a bit of caution, or does he go in there and ball everyone out like he does time and time again? I would like to see him feel out a little bit. Like you've just said there, I think he will jump all over Adames if he lets him, and the size of him is absolutely crazy. Yeah. I would just like to see him feel him out a little bit. I would like to see more of the skills, more of the tactics. And then, he's like a shark in there. As soon as he smells that blood, he's all for it. So
I think Adames will be very cagey at first. I think Hamza will feel him out with a jab, just keep that jab out there. I think Adames will be cagey at first, and if he doesn't change up quickly, being on the back foot, it might be a quick fight, because you can't have your back skirting against those ropes against Hamza. You can't do that for 12 rounds. No. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. The length, the range, the long levers of Hamza. I think it'll be a shock to Adames, that's for sure. I think he will be like who is this man mountain that you've put in front of me?
Like you said, it could be an early night. It really could. You know what? It could be an early night, but I can't see that Adames will allow him to just walk him down. I think Adames, he's got decent footwork. He's got quite quick hands as well. I think if he puts his combinations together, trying to just get Hamza to focus on throwing one shot at a time, I think it'll be a good fight. But I don't know if he can do that, because when Hamza starts letting his hands go, I think the only time Hamza has trouble is when you throw combinations on him with that high guard, because it's so hard to get your shots off coming away from that high guard. I think Amo did it quite well when he was throwing combinations. He was stunning. He was catching Hamza as well. I think that's when he got the most problems. But I think Tyler Denny did it for like half a round. Tyler was doing when he was throwing combinations. Tyler was catching him. But the problem is Tyler's not.
Like, just going back on what you just said, like, don't forget how highly rated Amo was. Do you know what I mean? It was actually Amo that was meant to be the showstopper and the world's next big thing. And for him to do a job on him, that was, I wouldn't say a shock. It was definitely a lot. It wasn't the fight I expected.
I was surprised by the stoppage.
Yeah, definitely. Late on, 10th round, 11th round.
10th round. I was surprised by the stoppage, but the stoppage was right as well. Amo was done. Amo took way too much punishment at the end of the fight. The early rounds of the fight, it was great. Up until then, it was a great fight, back and forth. Both fighters doing well in spots. It was just Hamza's power and Will just sort of took over right at the end, and he caught up to Amo. So we've both got Hamza by KO. I think I've got Hamza by stoppage.
We've got 2 fights left. We've got the Ortiz, or we have the Boaz Smith. It's your call, mate. Where do you want to go first?
Well, it's only right we go Boaz, Callum Smith, and then we do the main event after.
Okay. Let's go.
Yeah. I think I've got Boaz on points. I don't think he stops Callum Smith. I don't think Callum Smith's an easy man to stop. But I have got Boaz on points simply because I think Boaz is still yet to show us his best. I think he's got a lot more to show. I think Callum is now on the slide. I don't know how much Callum actually wants to be in there anymore. I think even with his last couple of fights, just his demeanor and how he is. I know he's quite a quiet guy anyway. It just feels like he's on his way out, and if he loses, he loses it. He feels like if I lose, you know what I mean, it is what it is. But I think Boaz is going up, Callum's coming down, or Callum's plateaued, should I say. But yeah, I've got Boaz by I think it could be a close fight. It could be a split decision, you know. It really could be a split decision.
I've got Smith to stop Boaz.
Okay.
I think we've spoke about Boaz, like, agreed, he's a brilliant fighter. I loved the introduction to him when he first jumped on Matchroom. I thought he was 100%. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
I liked his demeanor. I liked his character. I think he's a brilliant boxer. He clearly punches hard. He has just sat at the same level for so long now. And I believe, obviously, it's everyone's opinion. I believe Smith is hungry, and I think he may do a job on Boaz. I don't think Boaz is ready for someone of Smith's caliber who is on the slide. I agree with you on that. I still think Callum Smith in his day, one of the best out there.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you on how good Callum Smith is. I generally rate Callum Smith. I think he's actually underrated. He's actually underrated as a fighter. When I'm picking Boaz, it's not only because I think Callum's plateaued and isn't where he used to be at, just at super middleweight, but Callum can still hit can still punch. He's always been a puncher, and that hasn't changed. I think I just think it's Buatsi's time. I've always been a Buatsi fan. It's always the one fight I've been like, you know what? I like you said, his character, how he is, how he came up. I don't agree as a fan. I don't agree with how his career's panned out so far. Like at this stage of it, anyway, with the move to boxer, and that's even stalled his career because yes, he's getting this fight now, but that's not because of boxer. We know that. You know what I mean? He would have been getting this fight if he was still on Matchroom. People like he was offered the Bivol fight and he didn't take it. Obviously, we spoke to his manager and stuff, and they give their reasons why they didn't take it. That you can understand it from a fighter's point of view.
Oh wow, Smith by stoppage. Okay, listen, we've all got opinions to place out. Everything Eric says is absolutely bob on the money. I would love to see Joshua Buatsi go out and win this. I really would, because for the reasons you've just said, as well as that Smith is on the decline. Buatsi does this, he will go on to amazing things, and I think he's a great. He's a great boxer. He's got everything. He really does have everything. I just think he's just been that little bit stale for too long, and he might not be ready for this fight.
I can agree with that. His activities, once a year activities, it's not great.
No.
You know what I mean? It isn't. And going back to when you was near a cusp of a world title, you're going back down to the likes of Dan Aziz and stuff like that, and boxers just sort of. But we're here now, and the Callum Smith fight, I think, is the perfect fight for him. Right now, I think it's a perfect fight for both of the guys. To be honest with you, I think Callum Smith wins this. It shows he's still there at that level. He still wants that world title shot. You know what I mean? So I think it's the matchup itself. 50-50, brilliant. I don't have any issue with people thinking Smith can win this fight because I can see why he can win this fight myself, but I'm going with Buatsi on points.
There we go. Are we ready for the big one?
The big one. We've got 13 minutes left before Rico kills us, so we've got 30 minutes to chop this one up. You go first on this one.
Fantastic fight. The first one, highly anticipated. It's what the world wanted to see. I personally thought it delivered. I thought it was like a great fight to watch. I had Bivol winning towards the end. I've heard every which way of that fight. I've heard people for Beterbiev and Bivol. I did personally have Bivol up. What a hard man Beterbiev is. Honestly, what a strong man. How do I see this? I really think, it might sound daft saying this, I really think Bivol was crushed after that last one. I really think he was deflated. I am not sure. I'm not sure if we're going to see the best of Bivol in this fight. I think Beterbiev is going to be rolling in strong, and we may get a Beterbiev stoppage.
You're going for Beterbiev stoppage? Right.
Yeah.
Me. I'm on the opposite side. I'm the same as you, as in I thought Bivol won the first fight. I watched it with my brother-in-law. We both sat watching it and tried to score it. It got to the end and we both was like, yeah, Bivol's got it. I think 7-5 Bivol, 8-4. It could be 8-4, 7-5 for us. I felt like Bivol got it. So when obviously Beterbiev got announced the winner, we was like, are you kidding me? Nah, we was like robbery. Nah, definitely. But we wasn't mad. It was like we thought Bivol won, but the fight itself, just take away the result of the fight. Those 12 rounds of boxing was probably the best 12 rounds of boxing. Just every second of that fight, you was captivated. You was just holding on to see who would land next, what would happen. And the fight itself just delivered, like you said, delivered 100%. They're worthy of an undisputed fight, worthy of both fighters being up there in the pound for pound. You know what I mean? Neither fighter lost any cachet in that fight. Bivol lost. There's no cachet lost in that. No fighter lost. Going into the second fight, I think Bivol wins it. I think someone asked me yesterday, what do you think Bivol needs to do different? I think now the judges know how Bivol fights, I think they'll give him more credit for how he fights, because you got to remember a lot of them was looking at Beterbiev was the puncher going into the 100% knockout ratio. He was going to knock. So when you got most of the round, Bivol for me was controlling a lot of the rounds, and some of the rounds right at the end, you've got like 20 seconds open here. Beterbiev would maybe land a shot, or the shot would get caught, but it looked like it landed, and it sort of. And I think I saw in a couple of those rounds, a friend of mine, he gave it to Beterbiev, and he had Beterbiev winning 7-5 the other way. And we literally scored. We looked at our scorecards, and there was only 2 rounds we scored differently in the fight. Okay. Every other in that, I think, was it? Yeah, 10 rounds. 10 rounds out of 12, we scored exactly the same. 2 rounds we had different, the opposite way. That shows how close that fight was. Mm-hmm. So for me, I think Bivol can fight a similar fight. He needs to. I think if he can hold Beterbiev off for a little bit later on in the fight, he'll get more credit, because I think when his game plan changed, which it had to change, because if he didn't change his game plan, because Beterbiev changed, because Bivol was turning him. The first few rounds, Bivol just kept turning him, landing a few shots, kept turning him, landing a few shots. And then I think 4th round, Beterbiev changed what he was doing, which then Bivol had to change, because Beterbiev was getting back on top. After 6 rounds, I had it even. I'm sure I had it even after 6.
You absolutely hit the nail on the head with, if the fight is exactly the same as the last one, so if, as they say, going into the 13th round, it's carried straight on, I think the judges will score in favour of Bivol this time round. I definitely do agree with you on that. And if Bivol boxes the same, I think Bivol wins it. However, I do think Beterbiev will change completely now. I actually think he'll be a bit more reckless. I actually do think he's going to come out swinging. And we all know, obviously, 100% going into that one, how much of a puncher Beterbiev is.
Yeah,
I don't think, and if he does stick it on Bivol that more, I don't think Bivol has the power to keep him off. So he used his boxing skill, like you've just said, he was turning him, he was using his smarts with it. If that is put on his toes from that first round, I don't think he can fend off Beterbiev. I don't think there's many people that can. I think, Callum Johnson sat him on his ass once upon a time, like an eye-popping moment. But yeah, that's why I think Beterbiev is going to knock out Dimitri Bivol on Saturday night.
That's fair. I feel like Beterbiev's going. You're right. Beterbiev's going in there to knock Bivol out. He does not want to go to the cards. He has no intentions of going into the cards. So I feel like you're right. He probably will be a little bit more reckless. For his sake, I hope Bivol doesn't time his ass and lands a perfect shot at him. But I think for me, I think Bivol fights more or less the same. I think the judges will give him more credit because you go back and look at that fight, and a lot of people have gone back and look at the fight and thought, oh, you know what? The people that was saying, Beterbiev won that, you know what? That was close. That was a close fight. A lot of them are starting to change. So the judges are going back and looking at those fights and thinking, oh, actually, that's what he was doing. He actually wasn't catching him as much as I thought he was in that. So I think judges are human beings as well. Just like me and you look back at something and you think, oh, I saw that wrong. I thought it was like that. And then you look at the next fight and you start looking for stuff a bit more. You start being more aware of what this fighter does really well, what you actually didn't realise they were doing. You can see it a bit more. So, I think Bivol, for me, UD decision. I don't think he stops Beterbiev. I think he needs to try and make this one clean. I think he won it anyway, but I think this one needs to be clean. I think an 8-4, try and control the fact that the rounds till the end as well, because the ending of rounds is where Beterbiev seems to be getting a lot of the credit.
That's very amateur as well, isn't it? That is, you split your rounds into your ass and you finish strong in them last few minutes to them last few seconds to catch the judge's eye. Just going quickly back to that comment about, I actually don't know if Marcus Brown dropped Beterbiev. I thought there it is. I did actually think it was only Callum Johnson. I might be wrong with that.
No, he's been dropped a couple of times. He has been dropped a couple of times.
Okay, I'll stand corrected on that one, then, mate. Nice one there.
Yeah.
I'd like to know his opinion. Do you think Bivol or do you think Beterbiev? Chris, if you're still watching, mate, who's your prediction? Anyone else out there? Let us know what your...
Yeah, we've got 5 minutes. Anyone want to give their prediction, even on the full card, if you've got time? But the main event would be appreciated. I've got Bivol. CJ's got Beterbiev.
What's going on with that? Can you tell me, or what? What's the crack with Saka?
What's it? I have no idea what Saka's saying. I think Saka and Rico Saka has a beef with Rico or something. I think. I'm hearing quite... have we got feedback?
Where?
He said he's hearing some feedback, but hopefully it's only the last couple of minutes of the show, if that's the case.
Yeah, Rico's not said anything to us, so we've probably just been chatting and everyone's just going stuff like that.
Yeah, you just can't understand us. That's the problem.
Yeah, we're up north, mate. That's the problem, pal. Anybody else?
I got Bivol if he boxes. I've got Bivol if he boxes. He gets stopped if he tries to get more aggressive. I agree with that.
We're all in agreement with that one. We're getting told off here. We're getting told to wrap us up. So it's been a brilliant show again, guys. I've enjoyed more comments coming in, to be fair. It's always nice to get other people's opinions rather than just me and Eric just blabbering onto each other. It's nice to get everyone else joining in. Anything else you want to say, Dave?
No, that's it. Another show down, episode 7 down. We'll be back next week for episode 8 with let's see who wins this prediction.
We'll get a big tally going. Thank you everybody for listening as well. And it's been a good one. We're all excited for one of the biggest events in our generation.
Yeah, there will be a watch along on the channel with Rico. I will probably jump on as well. I don't know if CJ is free. He might jump on for a fight or so. But
if I know how to do something like
it's the same way. It's the same way. It's on this. But yeah, there is a watch along for Saturday's fight with Rico hosting. He will have guests coming in and out for the night. So yeah, join us there. But thank you everyone for joining us again. We'll be back next week with another episode of Crossroads in Boxing. Thanks to CJ as usual, and I'm out.
Another band, all the Muslim cars now, whichever get up. I start my card with a sweet one bliss. Someone flips me a bag it up. So, it's another one, yeah, it's a full strand, yeah. Oh, it's another one,